to know, what is one of the bravest things you've ever done?
Bravest.
Yes.
God, I gotta think
good
about
one.
that one.
Maybe come back to
I
that
don't
one.
know if I've ever done anything really brave.
Yeah, you have.
You took a risk on having a business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that was a lot of
Pretty
different times
brave.
you did something like that.
Jump in a river and save your kids, or run
Yeah,
out the
but,
street and save them.
I haven't ever jumped out in front of a truck for somebody or done anything like that. Let's come back to that.
Okay, we'll
I
come
think-
back. So, Daddy, I want to know what your grandparents were like.
Grandparents.
Your grandparents.
Well,
Tell me
I
about it.
really only knew one of the four. I have a picture of my mother's mother holding me. My father's.
What were their
parents-
names?
She was Lily, and he was William Acker.
An actor?
And she-
Acker.
Acker.
Oh,
Her
yeah.
name was Lily Macmillan, very Scottish name, and he was William A. Acker.
Was he the one that held you?
No, it was my grandmother.
Was he the
Well,
same
tell me
picture?
about him. Tell me something about
him?
any grandparent that you want to tell me about.
Oh, that I can repeat. Well, he lived over, well, I knew him and remember him. He was already pretty old and a crotchety guy. But I remember the funniest thing. I remember after he was single for a while after Lily died.
Yeah.
And then he got married to this deaf and dumb woman.
Oh, no.
This is a good story.
And he said, Butch, he said, Mrs. Hurd, he always called her Mrs. Hurd, and she always called him Daddy. But he said, you know, Mrs. Hurd said, and she's deaf and dumb, remember he said, she can't talk back to me or anything. He said she's a great cook. I'm forgetting.
And if she just owned a liquor store.
And he said she's good in bed. He said if she just owned a liquor store, she'd be damn.
Are you
perfect.
really?
Yes! That's
Wow.
gotta. Okay. Daddy.
I don't think you're gonna be
Daddy,
able to.
tell me a story.
That's edited.
Something that you maybe you didn't experience it yourself, but someone told you about your grandparents, that where they came from or something.
Well, he came from New Orleans.
Really?
Yep.
What was its name?
I have no idea.
Just from New Orleans?
They weren't around very much. I didn't see them much. I don't know a whole lot to tell you.
And your parents didn't tell you about them?
Huh?
Your parents never told you
No.
stories?
Mm-mm. My dad's
Maybe for
father,
the
I know he was a pharmacist, and there was some kind of plague or something, and he died in it.
Hmm.
And my mother, my grandmother, evidently ended up, something was wrong with her, and I never knew what it was because they wouldn't tell me. But my Aunt Hazel, my dad's sister, took care of her up in Chicago, and he sent her money to take
Yeah.
care of her.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about the grandfather other than he was a pharmacist that died in a plague.
Spanish flu?
Would that be the 1918 one?
I don't know. Don't know.
And
Very
you're
interesting.
That's the only other plague I've heard of in
Yeah,
the United States.
very
I know that I looked up in the genealogy and I thought it was interesting. There was a judge, I think it was James Harper, that gave the land to this school, which he bought it from the Indians and gave it to the school. It's now Auburn University. I thought that was real interesting.
oh yeah.
And my dad always said that all of our relatives were just a bunch of itinerant farmers. So I think he just told me that.
Yeah.
And then there was another one in the family that had the only newspaper that ran continuously in the South during the entire Civil War.
Oh
was
wow.
run by Harper
That's interesting.
relatives.
Yeah.
So anyway, they weren't all itinerant farmers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wasn't your aunt something too? She,
Yeah, his aunt too wrote a column for the Christian Science monitor for like 30 or 40 years. She was very well known. I went into a shoe store that was next door to one of these Christian Science reading rooms one day, and I was going to the shoe store, Romo's that was down
Yeah.
on Midway and
Northwest Highway.
Northwest Highway, and there was a Christian Science reading room there. I've never been in one. I don't know much about it. But anyway, I went in there. I thought, well, maybe they know something about Hazel Brander Harper. So I go in there and I said, I wonder if you could give me some information. Yes, sir. There's this man and woman, and I said, well, Hazel Brander Harper was my aunt, and Hazel Brander Harper. Oh, it was like the most exciting thing I'd ever heard. And I said, yeah. And she, oh, I know. She was a famous columnist for many, many years. They just went on. And so what can you tell? Well, I don't remember. They told me a few things about it. But they said, well, we will go in. And they had everything in this place. Remember the old microfiche stuff?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I got to pick my shoes up in a few days. Can I come back in? Okay, so I come back in, and they were waiting with what they had all this stuff,
Huh.
and prints and all
They
this stuff.
probably had about one visitor a month.
So anyway,
She was a big deal in her
so
field.
She was. So
That's why
there
you're
was,
all good writers.
She was a
and then I
writer.
had an Uncle Lee, and there had to be a story on this, because I didn't think much about it at the time. But my dad had a brother, and I found out later he lived in Waco. I never met him.
Wow.
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 So there's some reason, something's going on there.
Wow.
Huh.
That's too bad.
Waco, that's outlaws.
It was just a tape.
We go down there and visit her in Florida.
Aunt Eva?
Yeah, she was the baby of the family.
Let me see, Florida or
Yeah.
Waco?
And they all attended Thornwell College in Clinton, South Carolina.
Oh.
And he was there till he was 18 years old.
College or orphanage?
It's an orphanage.
It's an orphanage.
Yeah, and then he came out here, and I don't know who, Dr. C.O. Harper. I
Yeah.
don't know where he comes into play, but he lived in Fort Worth, and that was my Aunt Annie's
Her husband.
husband. And I had to go over there. It was every Sunday for, oh my God. Go to church, and we go out the old interstate, what was it, 80? It went out through all the hotels and everything, and I'm going out that way and drove all the way, went to her house. It was musty, and it had lace tablecloths, no TV, and this was like in the 40s and early 50s.
Oh.
Because I had to go.
Did she pinch your cheeks and say, "Oh,
I don't
Jackie"?
know, but there weren't any kids around there to play with, and it was like almost every weekend. The only thing that and every time, my mother had to see What's My Line. So because
Had to get home for that.
she had to see What's My Line, and I think that came on at like 7. So about 3:30 or something, it was about time for the Colonial Cafeteria to open up. And so we get Aunt Addie, all get in the car, and we go to the Colonial Cafeteria and eat, take her home, and then head back and get there in time to turn on What's My Line.
Sounds like a
Every
riot.
And one of
Sunday?
there was 2 great days in my life, and one of them was the day that I got my car keys and was able to drive away from home. And the other one, I think you're old enough that you don't have to go with us to Fort Worth today.
Okay, so Caroline asked you what you were brave about, but I'm going to ask you, what is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is heights.
Okay.
I get up if I get up, like if I was in Pamela's place, if her rail fell below my waist, I couldn't stand by it. Because
Really?
I feel like I don't fear, I feel like I want to jump.
Why?
I don't know. And then I back away.
That is
Because I'm sitting there
scary.
looking, and it's like
This
I
is a
want to.
whole new layer.
And
Wow.
I never did like heights. The one place I really liked, I liked the Empire State Building, because when you go up there, the fence goes up and then it turns like this and it has spikes.
Ah.
And I knew I couldn't get over.
Ah!
So
Daddy, didn't you-
I love looking at
Didn't
it.
you want to be a pilot though?
What?
Ever?
Yes.
Didn't
You
you want
did?
to?
Well, they
Well,
go on
no,
free
I didn't, I
college.
really didn't wanna be a pilot, but I thought I was gonna get drafted when I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And so I was signing up to go to the Marines, and I wanted to become a fighter jet pilot.
See? But afraid of heights. That'd be
Yeah.
a difficult
Well,
job.
that was different, as long as I was in something, it didn't
Oh,
bother me.
'cause
Huh.
you could.
It was really a fear
He wants
of
to
that you lose control and
You
jump.
wanna just go.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
Michelle, you want to do Michelle's question, and we'll come back around
Yeah.
with our secondary.
You can read it.
Which one is it? Oh, I see. No.
She didn't circle it.
Oh, did you write it? No, that's Caroline's
No.
writing.
Michelle,
I don't know
we
which
didn't
one it
circle
is.
yours.
We don't know which one is yours.
Let me get it. Let me get it. Give me it. I thought
I forgot to circle it.
you forgot to circle it. Okay, which one was that?
I remember it. Tell me about the day Michelle was born.
Yeah, that was it.
The day Michelle
Yes.
was born, it was a holiday.
Labor Day?
Yeah, Labor Day.
Did you have already 2 kids at home?
Oh, the night, not in the day.
Well, well, name everything you can remember from that
Yeah,
day.
remember?
I don't remember anything about the delivery or any of that. But
You weren't there?
But I.
Were you at the
They
hospital?
wouldn't let you in.
No, they
Yeah.
didn't.
Back then they didn't.
Mm-mm.
So you stayed home,
No,
or
I was in the hospital, but you're in the other
You're
room,
in a
and then
waiting
somebody
room.
comes out and says you have a baby, and then, you know, you can go in and see your wife, and then a little while later, they roll her out, and you go out, and they've got it upstairs, and you see the baby in the
yeah?
thing. That's what you see in those days.
So where was Christy and Jill during
All
that?
right, well, that's a good story. But anyway, so at the time, Jill, let's see, is how many years older?
4.
4. No, more than that.
A little bit.
No, 4. Yeah, that's right.
4.
Yeah.
4.
She's 69. I'm 65.
And Christy was 1 year
3 and a
older,
half.
18 months.
18
18
months older.
Yeah, Christy's 18 months old. All right.
Yeah.
So Christy's living in the little bedroom right up by Carol and I's room. Okay?
She's living there.
And by then, that's
She
her
has
room.
her.
He's gonna let her live there.
But Jill,
Efficiency apartment.
you must have been back in the back already. You could stay back
Oh,
there
okay.
in the big room,
Uh-huh.
the pink room.
Yeah, I love the pink.
And we had all pink room, by the way. Thought that, you know, the all girls had pink carpet.
Aw.
Shag carpet. It was
What,
awesome.
what
shag.
house was this?
Lakehurst.
Lakehurst. So anyway, Christy's like 18 months old, that right? Okay, so anyway, I come home and Mama too hasn't got there yet. She isn't gonna get there till the next night. So I'm in the house with Jill, who's okay, and Christy.
She's okay, 4 years old.
Four.
She can take care of herself, make her own breakfast and
I mean,
dinner.
I got her food and all that, and I put her to bed and she went to
4-year-olds
bed.
are pretty.
Yeah.
But she went to sleep,
Yeah.
okay? But I get in there and I try to go to sleep, and the next thing I hear is this, "Wee!" Well, Christy, that night, learned how to get out of this crib. So she climbs out and falls out of the crib and
I'm looking for mom.
and starts crying, 18 months old. So I go get her, you know, and I calm her down and all this, and then I put her back in and tell her to get her down and try to get her to go to sleep. I go lay down. 10 minutes
Is
later,
that again?
she's on the floor. I do it at least one more time. I think I did it the third time I do it. I put her in, I go in to go to sleep. A few minutes later, she's crying again. So, okay, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. So I'm thinking, what do? Well, we had just put a new screen door on, and we had the old one was outside in the storeroom. So I went out and got the old screen and set it over the top of the crib.
Made a cage.
And put her down again, and then I went to sleep and slept till the alarm went
Oh.
off.
And then when did mom bring Michelle home?
Uh,
How many days was it back then before?
It's a week.
What did,
No,
what
I
did you
think
drive?
that's-
Did you drive mom there?
Yeah,
Did you bring mom flowers or gifts after she had a baby?
yes. I always brought her silver roses when I could find them. I
Wow.
still do when I can find them.
I don't even
and
know what
hardly
a
ever
silver
find
rose
them.
is.
There's a picture of the silver roses when you were born.
That's
Picture
pretty.
of it?
Yeah, I always bought her.
Never seen it.
But they
We
look-
can't see
they
our
look like
pictures
they're
because you
white.
lock them up. Like you used to lock up the candy on us.
Silver,
not gonna
silver
comment
roses
on
are
that.
almost impossible to find, but
But you found them every time?
no, never found them, but I think for the first time.
So what'd you get instead?
Yellow?
Roses. I always
Oh,
get
okay.
roses.
Roses.
She likes coral,
Coral, okay.
so.
Remember that, Mom?
Were all the roses, Mom? She gets a lot of flowers now, too.
I've
She's
told,
shaking her head.
I've told, remembering right after they're born, I told them that the one thing I remember about Jill, when she was born, was of course it's your first baby, it's all exciting and all this, other than when I looked at her, I thought she was a boy, because I didn't know what the umbilical cord was.
Oh.
Oh my God.
And that she got her name from a lamp, because Mama too had sent us a Jack and Jill lamp, and we were going back and forth about different names. And so we decided to go with, I decided, because I had to call and tell Mama too to get ready, come, we got the baby, you know, and she knew she was getting ready to come, but I had to tell her, make a ticket, come now. And she, well, what did you name her? And I said, Jill. And it was one of the things we were talking about.
You
And-
hadn't even discussed
but
it?
yeah, we discussed
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, it was. I didn't want my child to be known as Antoinette. But and
That's my
and
middle
Carol, I
name.
had a special reason for wanting to name somebody after Saint Anthony. So I was opposed to that. So she's Jill Antoinette.
What was Mom's special reason?
It was when she had Stacy and she prayed that she would somehow survive all the whole
Oh,
thing.
oh.
And she wanted to have the.
She promised to name her next baby.
At the
after
time, I
Saint
didn't know
Anthony.
what her special reason was.
Mhm. Yeah, Daddy didn't know.
I didn't know what the special reason
Oh,
was.
but Mom stayed true to her promise.
Yeah, and then I kind of spilled the beans and said Jill.
Yeah,
Jill Antoinette.
I like Antoinette.
Yeah.
I like
It's
Jill.
unique.
Jill.
Yeah.
Jill's great.
And Michelle's named after a
Chris-
lifeguard, right?
No, Christy was conceived in Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
Michelle was named after Jill's swimming coach.
Oh, swim.
And we liked the name. We thought it was a pretty name. And then Caroline's named after her grandmother, Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And Louise, your
And
mother.
Louise is my mother.
Right.
All right. So the bravest thing you've ever
And
done?
and your child has two grandmothers whose name is actually Margaret, and she doesn't.
Her
have
name's
that
really Margaret. We
name.
renamed her.
She's Carola Margaret Harper, and
No.
then there's Margaret Mall. And
And now we have Riley Margaret.
do you? No, you don't.
I'm a Margaret.
Yeah, Michelle Martin.
Michelle Margaret. Yeah.
Bravest thing you've ever done?
And Christina James.
Daddy?
I don't know.
Sitting here answering
You
these
felt
questions.
brave that you had your whole company burned to the ground, and you turned around and brought.
Is that bravery though?
Yeah.
Some people would quit.
Bravery,
Yeah.
tenacity.
Yes, I was in East Texas on a trip, and I came out, and the whole place burned down. When I got there, it was that high off the ground.
Ooh.
That's
And how much? You had 3 young kids at home,
Yeah,
and you had to get it back on its feet.
yeah.
What was the cause of the fire?
Well, we found out later that a guy had burned it down.
Arson.
And he also tried to burn down about 3 or 4 years later. I found out from a fire marshal that
Who
came
was
by and
it?
saw me. His name was Ray Shires.
Wow.
Wow.
Why did you do that?
He got mad at this guy named James Jackson, believe it or not, who was the night guy. And he got in a big spate about something, and I just got mad and burned the place.
So he hoped that guy would be there when he lit it on
He
fire?
came back, he made the last delivery, came back, turned in his keys, evidently went in the bathroom, set a fire, and James was ready to get the hell out of there, and they both went out the front door, and we didn't have any fire alarms in those days. The whole place burned down.
Wow.
Wow.
Now,
So-
didn't you find out because he lit another fire somewhere else?
Yeah, I found out a few years later that there was a big fire at this typographer named Jagger's Child Stovall.
Why did he burn that one?
I don't know.
Some people like
He's
fire.
a disgruntled employee.
Yeah.
Jagger's Child Snowball actually is the place that Oswald was working.
Mm,
But it
interesting.
turned
Because
out
that's
really
a lot
good,
of our-
Jack.
It turned out to be the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was lucky, I guess, or smart, I don't know what you'd wanna say, cause I gave speeches about this for a couple of years. But I had got replacement insurance on all the equipment
That's
about
smart.
2 months before that. I think I made like warranty payment. And that means if you got a piece of equipment that's worth $50,000 to buy it new, but yours is 20, everything in there was old as hell, it was probably worth $2,000 falling apart.
But they have to.
And
You
yet
got
they had to
the
give me enough to
50,000.
buy new. And then once they came up with the sum total, I said, do I have to buy, do you just wanna give me the money and I'm gonna build and buy what I want? And they agreed.
Wow.
And,
And then you got Chris Jackson and.
and then when I did that, and Carol is, I wanted to get in the color separation business, so I got all the equipment to do that, and didn't get all that old, so I was able to go from one industry into another.
Engraving
with
to
fire.
color separation.
Yeah,
kind of?
offset and color separation, and then I also had enough money to go out there and buy the equipment from New Mexico and Great, and instead of going and buying new stuff, which I had the money to do, I just bought everything they had and then brought Chris with it.
Wow.
Then invested.
So I had the guy that knew how to run it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which just missed by, I think, a year of having 4 teenagers at once.
That's brave.
You gotta be pretty brave to even live through that.
1 or 2, we get it.
Under any
We get it.
circumstance.
They outnumbered you guys.
Yeah, you're lucky you weren't committed.
And they're smart. Yeah.
They had a lot of
And it's
psychological
amazing to
help.
me that after all that everybody still talks to, all the family talks to each other all the time. I can't tell any of you anything without
Nope.
somebody else the next day will say, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool.
I do too.
That means we did something right, I guess.
So weird for your dad to have a brother that was just
Yeah.
vanished, you know? So
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, I never thought about it much till I was looking at this genealogy and stuff, and I'm like, I wonder whatever happened with Lee.
Wow.
They
What's-
must have got mad about
What's your other
something.
question, Jill? The
Oh, here.
wish for your grandchildren.
Oh, what is your wish for your grandchildren?
Wish for my grandchildren.
Yeah.
Got one representative.
Yeah, you have one representative next
Which
to you.
one is here?
Jack.
Riley
Your
left.
namesake.
The one that's named for you.
What
That's
is your
right.
wish? It's 2021.
For all your grandchildren,
I wish that
especially the one here.
I would wish that whatever they decide to do, that they find a partner for life that they love, that loves them, which I think is ultra important, and that they find something to make a living that they really enjoy, that their living is their passion. It's something they love and they get paid to do it. And I think that would be a perfect one. I hope they at least continue to have some faith. I
Facing
think that's important. Otherwise, why are we all here? So,
the journey. So you don't think they should get a job just to make money? They should do
No.
something they really
if
enjoy.
they can.
If-
I mean, sometimes you have to do what you gotta do. But
Yeah.
you asked me what I would hope for them.
Yeah.
I would hope for them that if Jack loves football, that he finds some sort of a career that has to do with football, that he gets up in the morning and looks forward to going to
Yeah.
work. And he really loves it, and that he, you know, and he gets paid for doing what he likes to do. And he, you know,
Did you love what you did?
no.
Cause you didn't you didn't want to grow up and become a business owner and
It's the
run
last
a
thing I
color
wanted to do,
separation.
But I found that I could get it. I could have been brave and gone to Vietnam, but I said no. I found out because of the Private Ryan stuff and everything. I was the only surviving son of the family in the business that I didn't have to go. I was already signed up to go in the Marine.
Would you want to have played music your whole life?
You
No,
wanted to be a
no.
baseball sports announcer, didn't you?
If I could have done whatever I really wanted to do, you know what? If you ask me what would be the perfect job that you would love to have, I would love to have had Dale Hanson's job.
Ah.
That would have been my dream.
Weatherman.
I would have been able to
Sports
know.
guy.
Oh, sports.
I would have known all the sports heroes and everything from Dallas. I would have interviewed all of them, known them well. I would have got front row seats at every ticket, and I'd have been able to give funny speeches to people and get paid for it when I wasn't working. And so I'd have a certain amount of celebrity, but I'd be doing stuff I love to do all day long. That
Would
would have
you
been my
wanna be
purpose.
Dale, or would you wanna be Norm Hitzges?
Well, I don't want to be. If you ever knew, did you ever know Dale when he was young?
Well, no.
Well, Dale now, I don't like Dale at all. He should have retired
A long time ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Man,
anyway, the
there's some
old,
strong opinions here.
the old Dale was back in the 80s, early 90s. He was very good,
Yeah.
and he used to go around and give speeches, and he was the funniest person I ever saw.
He had a lot of.
What
fun.
happened to him?
I think he's a drunk.
Oh.
Yeah, he likes the booze.
Ah,
But that's the job I would like to have.
Yeah. Be him.
Like, if I couldn't be him, I would want to. I would like that because it's all sports.
Yeah,
You know,
all different ones.
you know,
Statistics,
or
love it.
you know, the national guys. They're usually not all sports. They're all football, all baseball, all
Oh, yeah.
hockey or whatever. I think it's cool.
Well, that's
to,
interesting.
You even
But-
like the little league, like baseball and
all
all ages. You like sports of all ages. You know.
yeah, I like all kinds of sports.
Yeah.
That
But
most,
don't you think
well,
there's?
most people don't know I was an all-city football player. So
Yeah. And you coached a team.
Coach, I loved coaching.
So it runs in your.
But don't you think there's something to be said for, even though you didn't do your dream job, you made the most of every day? Like, you still got up and you had passion about things.
I got where I liked it.
Yeah.
After,
You have to, because not
After-
everyone gets to do their dream.
After I
So
did
you
it,
have to make whatever you're presented with enjoyable
I
somehow.
found out I liked going out and trying to sell people.
Mm.
Even though you got turned down 9 out of 10 times. I found I got a big charge out of doing that. And I got over the fear of doing it.
Yeah.
And the only way I did is because I was the only salesman for a while. And
Before it
if I
comes.
was gonna bring food home to the family, it don't matter what they're gonna say to you, they're not gonna hit you or something. And I had people later on, you know, when I got to know them better and they were customers, and I had asked them the question, why did you do business with me? They said, well, you just always came to see me. And he said, you know, you always never left without asking for the order. And he said, you'd be amazed how many people call. Well, I had more than one person tell me that. How many people call on me, and then there'll be a big bag with, in those days they'd get you could see on these production guys' desks things they were working on. See, you'd see that over there, and so what was that? They tell you, so can I have that one? He says, it's real hard to tell you no when you're asking.
Yeah. Well, they would just beat around the bush and hope that
Yeah,
they would get
a
the
lot
work.
of them. Yeah, it's real hard. I mean, it's probably the bravest thing I ever did was what at first was going in and calling on people's sales calls.
That is.
cold calling is really.
Yeah.
It is scary.
I hated sales.
Caroline didn't like that.
What's your favorite?
What's your
cake?
favorite cake?
Strawberry.
Not only strawberry, but Barbara's strawberry.
Barbara's strawberry.
Yeah, because we could have bought a strawberry one, but
Yeah.
I want to know what
We
your
made the
most
big old
memorable
strawberry.
childhood road trip was.
Oh.
Challenging road trip.
No.
Childhood.
childhood road.
Your most
Childhood.
memorable childhood road trip.
That was probably going to California.
It would have been a road trip.
You said you went on trips all the time with your parents.
I did. Well, this isn't it, because I don't call it, I just answered something on, that, what's the name of that thing? I think, family, you may be on it too, because I gave the name of some people, old memories thing.
Oh, whether you'd been arrested and all that
No,
stuff?
no, and anyway, it was, one of them asked a question of, what was your, one of your favorite childhood memories, and mine was my parents taking me to Yankee Stadium when I was about 13 or 12, and New York was much safer then. Got me a good seat, and I got to see Mickey Mantle and Yogi Bear. And
Wow.
Don
That is
Lemon
cool.
and Lou Boudreau and all those people. Roger Maris, who had the home run record. But the good part was they were going to this thing, and I was old enough because I was like, I think I must have been in the 7th grade, whatever I was at that they bought me a ticket for the next 2 days because the homestand was still in, and I got on the subway by myself and went to Yankee Stadium. It was perfectly safe.
Wow.
Oh my
End of the
gosh.
game, I got to see 3 in a row.
Dang.
And then the bummer of the whole thing, I remember getting home, and there was this buddy of mine that I played with all the time, my childhood friend, Bill Malone, and I went down, and he was Dorothy, Maloney was his name actually, Bill Maloney. He was Dorothy Malone's brother. I used to know
Movie star.
Dorothy Malone, she was older. But anyway, I go down and I went to the door and knocked on the door, and she says, "Hi, Butch." And I said, "Can Bill come out and play?" She said, "Oh, Butch, you didn't know. The day I left, he got hit by lightning playing golf at Dallas Country Club."
Aww.
Wow.
He was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
my most memorable road trips were with my parents going to California,
Terrible.
because we would always, my dad would call on every little newspaper all the way down. And so I got to know the name of every stinking little tiny newspaper from here to San Diego. And we'd take like a week or so getting out there. Then we'd stay a week. Then we'd take another week coming back. And we
Dang.
always come back different ways. We'd go, through the Painted Desert in Grand Canyon, or we'd go up to I remember floating in the Great Salt Lake, or we'd go to
Whoa.
Steamboat Springs, but we'd always come back a different way. So
That's cool.
we did that for years. So,
So what did you do when you got there with all of the
well,
relatives?
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I was sort of like one of the children because Raymond's 5 years younger than me, Steve's 6, Mary's 8, maybe.
There's 2 or 3 years between all of us.
Yeah. So anyway, at one point, when there was like 3 or 4 of us that were the kids that were running around. I was the old kid, but I lost track a little bit once it got a little past you as to older.
Just kept coming.
Do you remember my dad coming out to visit? Or were you too young?
You were pretty young, Paul.
Yeah, I don't
What
really
year were you
remember.
born?
52.
See, that's when I was 12, and you could ask me one of my biggest regrets. It was that year, but I came out there. With him when I was 12. I'm sure. When you were born, I must have been out there that year.
No wonder I don't
And
remember.
who's right after you is Rita.
Well,
No,
it was
she's right before
Rita,
you.
me, then Tess.
Tess, okay. And Tess is about where I get mixed up on.
Bridget, Yvette.
Did Louise come next, and then
Bridget.
Bridget and Yvette, and we're not losing out.
What's the grand total?
There's 9. There's Raymond, Stephen, Mary, Rita, me, Teresa, Louise, Bridget, and Yvette.
Yes.
Wow. 9 children.
All from his
Anyway.
sisters and same dad, same mom, right?
Yeah.
All from the same parents.
Yeah.
Biggest regret was when I was 12. And when I was 12, I was playing on a team called the East Dallas Exchange.
Exchange.
We had 2 pitchers, me and a guy named Eugene Laplace. We were both good. And there was like 3 majorly good teams in town. It's the East Dallas Exchange, it was the Oak Cliff Indians, and it was the Mustangs. The Mustangs were a bunch of Highland Park kids, Oak Cliff kids, and the East Dallas kids, because I played with the East Dallas kids. I didn't like to play and go around our neighborhood. It was better out there. And we had won our league. It was time for the city playoff, and it was also time to go to California. And this many years later, I felt like I let all those guys down
Aww.
because the Mustangs beat us in the
Oh.
finals, and I probably would have pitched that game. I think we'd beat them before. I think we could have beat them again. And this many years later, what is it? 69 years later, I still feel bad about not being there.
Yeah. Do you ever talk to any of those friends? in that league?
I didn't see many of those guys later.
Because they were in the other side of
I
town.
know one of the guys in the Oak Cliff Indians, Pete Stonestreet, had a pretty good professional career. Their pitcher.
Huh.
But
Well, family
I didn't know-
first,
they
Daddy.
lived on the other side. And what was an
Sports
interesting,
are hard.
what was an interesting
You gotta
story?
forgive yourself.
Yeah.
What was an interesting small world story though was I didn't see any of those guys on that team. I mean, they went to Pleasant Grove and all these weird schools out there that, there's no reason for me to see them.
Yeah.
But, I remember, when I was at SMU, and the first game I ever pitched was like the second game we played in my sophomore year when I was there, and because freshmen couldn't play then. But my sophomore year, I got to pitch the second game, and the second guy that came up was Larry Smith. He was our first baseman with East Dallas Exchange. I haven't seen him since.
Huh.
Got him out.
Ah.